Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making shepherd's pie. So let's go ahead and hop right in because it's a super easy recipe and it's going to go fast. Okay, so what you see me doing here is just cutting up the vegetables, which is the easiest part. Just cutting up the vegetables that I'm going to be putting into my shepherd's pie. I decided to use red onions because I had a little bit left over and a little bit of green bell pepper, which I also had left over. But you don't have to use either of those. You could just use regular white onions or no onions and just bell peppers or just or just onions. Or just bell peppers and no onions. Okay, so for this recipe, you basically are gonna only need ground beef, your vegetables if you decide to do so, and then you're gonna need potatoes for the mashed potato topping, which will kind of look like crust after it's done baking. So if you've seen the picture before you clicked on the video, that's what that topping was. It was mashed potatoes. So let's go ahead and hop right in. This is a super easy video. For the most part, I won't be talking. You will hear me talk in some parts of the video to explain what I'm doing if it looks a little more complicated than what people usually are used to. But for the most part, you won't see me talk. So here I'm just putting some garlic butter in my skillet and letting it melt down. Just because I like this butter, it's become one of my favorite butters. You don't necessarily have to use garlic and herb butter, but I use garlic and herb butter because I like it. It's one of my favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and throw my vegetables in here along with my meat, and I'm going to let it cook down just until the meat turns brown, and then we're going to move to the next step. Okay, guys, so this is what I was talking about. These are my large russet potatoes. Okay, so here you only see 2 potatoes, but I did 3. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to use 3 potatoes. Actually, I found that 3 was a lot of mashed potatoes. So I'm going to go ahead and chalk it up to using just 2. So you can use 2 large russet potatoes for this recipe. You can cut them however you want to, but preferably I would advise you cut them into small pieces, not real teeny like you're going to be making breakfast potatoes, but just small enough for them to boil quickly, because you don't want them boiling for too long. This is supposed to be an easy and quick meal. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my potatoes up. And remember, I had 2 large russet potatoes, and you can't see it, but I'm dumping them into some water that I've already started boiling here on the side. Okay guys, so the meat is now starting to cook. It's starting to sizzle a little bit. I can smell the vegetables and the meat at the same time. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss my seasoning for my meat in there while it's cooking down. And I just got some really basic seasonings. I got some garlic with parsley, onion powder, got a little bit of accent, and just some regular old seasoning. You can use any kind of seasoning. Shepherd's pie, really the ground beef is going to flavor it. The ground beef and the beef broth is going to flavor it. So you really don't need too much seasoning. I might actually not even use this one, depending on how the garlic and onion powder makes it taste. Okay. Oh, and of course, I never want to forget, I'm going to be using some W sauce. I'm going to sauce this up with some W sauce. Yes. Okay. So let's let this keep cooking, and we're just going to season it down. Okay guys, and as you can see, I've already got my tomato sauce ready. And then I'm also going to throw in a hint of ketchup just for some sweetness. So everything is cooking down. I got my W sauce in there. I wish you guys could smell it. Wow, it smells good in here. Already. Look at that. Yes. Okay, and I wanted to make it a point also, you guys don't have to use red onion, and you don't got to use bell pepper, okay? You can use white onion, and you can use no bell pepper. I know some people that make it with no bell peppers and just onions and garlic, and that's fine. But because I had this bell pepper left over and this onion left over, I decided, and red onion just tastes great with ground beef. I don't know if anybody really just love red onions, but I love red onions. They taste great with ground beef. So I need to get rid of those. So I just went ahead and put those in here, and it smells delicious. Okay, so while that's cooking, we're gonna go ahead and put a pot on this so that it can simmer, and then we're gonna come back and add our beef broth slurry, and then our tomato sauce. Okay guys, I'm back. Now I've got my cup of beef broth, and then I'm going to put a tablespoon of flour in there to make a slurry. Now you don't have to use beef broth if you want to cut down on the sodium or the flavor. You could just use water, okay? Throw a little tiny bit more flour. Okay. Let me mix my flour and my broth together. Ooh. Let me get my whisk out. That's better. Okay. Okay, so I've got my slurry, and now my ground beef is all ready. Okay, I'm gonna pour my tomato sauce in first, and this slurry is just gonna make it thick. It's just gonna thicken it up and turn it into a gravy, kind of like a gravy-ish feel so that when you bake it, it thickens up a little bit. Okay, mix that in there. Now in my shepherd's pie, I don't know about nobody else, but I like a lot of tomato product. I feel like it gives it more flavor. And I'm gonna put about a teaspoon of this. I mean a tablespoon of this. Okay. And a little bit more tomato sauce. Okay. And then just stir and let this mix together. Okay. And then we want to go ahead and incorporate our beef broth. And we're going to let this cook down. Okay. And now we're going to just go ahead and let this cook down for a little bit, and then it will be done. And then let's come over here and check on our potatoes. They should be finished. And you just want to cook your potatoes enough to make them mashed, because what's going to go on the top layer is a mashed potato kind of layer. So let's hop into making our mashed potatoes. Okay, so we're here with our mashed potatoes, and you want them to be just soft enough for you to break and everything else. So let me get another fork. Okay. The potatoes seem to be coming along very nicely. And I would say that they're just about done and ready to be mashed, okay? Okay guys, I've got my stuff cooking down. So at this point, I'm gonna add my last round of vegetables, which is gonna just be some peas and carrots. I've got some leftover meal ready sides peas and carrots that I got from Kroger. And I just wanna go ahead and throw those in there. And I'm just gonna take a handful because I don't even really like frozen carrots, but I like for the meal to look nice and, you know, colorful. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss a handful of those in there and let them cook down with the rest of everything else. Okay. Alright, look at that. Is that starting to look like shepherd's pie or what? Okay guys, I'm back. So I'm going to go ahead and start mashing my potatoes. Okay, now I saved the rest of this butter because I'm going to put it inside the mashed potato. This is my garlic and herb butter. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there, and then I'm going to go take half a stick of this country crock and put it in there as well. Okay, and I want to make some salt and some pepper and season this up a little bit. I'm gonna take the biggest fork I have because I cannot find my potato masher. It literally disappeared when I moved. So I'm gonna take the biggest fork I have and I want to mash my potatoes while I'm incorporating the butter. Okay. Now, I want to make this very clear, okay? Your potatoes do not have to be super, super mashed, because all you're doing is creating a layer on top what's going to look like crust, okay? So you don't want them too mashed anyway. You just want them mashed enough to be spreadable. Now, I also want to say this: adding butter and salt and pepper and everything else you want to add into your mashed potatoes is to taste. So if you want more than what I have added, be my guest. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my stick of butter. Okay, so I'm done with my shepherd's pie meat mix. This is basically what it should look like. All right, now what I'm going to do next is a little unconventional, but I'm adding breadcrumbs because this is going to kind of solidify that juice that's in there. I don't want too much juice in it because when you bake it, what you want to do is you kind of want to make it solidify a little bit. So the juice is basically going to make it a little runny, and it's going to make it go all over the place when you cut it. So just throw a little bit of breadcrumbs on the top and then mix it in there, and that should definitely give you a better consistency. And I want to make sure I tell you guys, don't forget to add your egg to your mashed potato mixture, because that's what's going to make it rise. It will make it rise, so don't add more than one egg. And then it's also going to give it that nice brown color that you're going to see after it finishes baking. Okay, and I had to say that quick because as you can see, I did speed it up a little bit just so that you guys aren't sitting here watching the video for a super long time. And then once my meat mixture is done, I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of cheese to my mashed potato mixture. And after I've added the cheese, I'm going to go ahead and spread it on the top. And you make sure you want to spread it evenly and nice and slow so that you don't have bits and pieces of the meat sitting on top of the mashed potatoes, because this is a layered dish. So you want each layer to be doing its own thing. Okay, and this is basically your shepherd's pie masterpiece. So as you can see, like I said, it got a lot of brown on the top, and it also did rise. You guys can't actually see how much it rose, but with that one little egg, it rose a lot. The mashed potatoes got a lot thicker. So I want to go ahead and cut this so you guys can see what it looked like on the inside. It was definitely delicious, by the way. I also want to add everything you see on my counter besides the honey is what I used. I put a good amount of W sauce in there. And it made it taste very flavorful and delicious. And that is what your shepherd's pie should look like. As you can see, it already started to fall off the spatula. That's what I meant by you want it to stay compact when you cut it. I mean, it's going to get messy once you start to dig your fork into it, but you can also make sure it stays kind of neat by doing each step by step. So this is how it should look. And this was really delicious. It's a simple recipe, just literally 2 main ingredients, which is ground beef and mashed potatoes, and it comes out amazing if you do it right. So this is how it should look. Hopefully you guys like this recipe. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I guess I'll see you guys later.